Hello there guys, and welcome to Mad Dot Minis, continuing my big battleboard build of the Frigate Warspite, and we are talking drop pods. My ship's going to have a drop pod launch bay. Frigates in 40k generally wouldn't have drop pods, but in my universe they bloody well do. So, how drop pods launch is a bit of a mystery. I haven't found any official artwork on it, so this is very much my own interpretation. So buckle up, brothers, and prepare for planetary assault, because here come my drop pod launchers. Here I start with two regular wooden shelving brackets, and these are wooden and pre-painted, so they have a nice thin layer of paint over them which hides all the wood grain, which is really, really nice. They are the same brackets that I use for the exterior walls in the build that I did in the kind of earlier video. I'll drop a link to that in the description if you're interested. So here I'm just attaching some metal L brackets onto the side, just as a bit of a kickstand for the thing to stand up nicely, just to add a bit of support. Just pre-drill some holes and then screw those into place, and that's kind of going to add a lot of kind of stability to the structure. Once that's done, I need to attach the two brackets together, and I do that with a bit of battening over the top. Yeah, I just kind of use the pre-drilled holes in the brackets just to screw those into place, and jobs are good, and that's the main structure already done. Minutes worth of work, really. Here I have some magnets that I found in my bits box that came from an old speaker system, I think, and I need these to go in the middle. These are going to be my release mechanism. As you can see, I've attached some magnets on the top of this drop pod. I could have hidden those a lot better, but I really didn't care enough, and this whole thing is going to be magnetic release, so I can release the drop pods if I want to use them for other purposes. I need to find a way of attaching that magnet in the center. The trouble is that the center of the magnet actually sticks out a little bit. There's a little nub that sticks out, and I want it to be attached flush, so that means I have to drill a little hole in the middle of the brackets there so it can sit into that. So I basically attack this thing like an orc on the rampage, and just get a hole bit and really roughly drill that out and widen it out as best I can, and then squish a load of hot glue down into it, and then just wedge the magnet down into it. It's a snug fit, which is good, and I don't think it's coming out anytime soon, which is also good. So yeah, they're very low tech here, guys. Mad Dot Minis after all. So just doing a little bit of a check. Height's okay, fit's okay, releases well enough, so I'm happy with that. Adding some ladders. These are made out of a child's toy plastic tennis racket. Good old trick, old as the hills, but definitely a good go-to method for ladders. Put those on both sides for access for miniatures up to the top gantry, which is going to be made out of some ruminate pieces with granny grating super glued over the top. So that's my go-to, granny grating. Love it, love it, love it. And adding more ruminate. God, I use a lot of ruminate, don't I? And I'm going to glue that onto the side where these little sticky out bits are. And I only do that on one side to allow for larger miniatures to stand up there easily if I want them to. Repeat the whole process twice. Bam, look at that, easy peasy. And then just go about adding some extra details. Use these self-adhesive pearls which simulate nice rivets on the girders here. Just kind of pre-measure where I'm going to put those, so there's a little bit of consistency. A little bit of this goes a long way and just brings the whole thing back to scale, at least I think anyway. So we're adding some larger versions of those pearls now onto the screws onto the L brackets just to hide those, which is nice. Then a coat of paint, a bit of primer, a little bit of a rough dry brush, and I'm going to take you to my boards now. 2 foot square battle boards. You can see the underside here is reinforced with a cross brace. This is all glued into place, the cross brace, because I used 3mm hardwall, which is very thin, so I need that reinforcement, otherwise it would bow in the middle. So just use a bit of wood glue there. The battens around the outside are screwed in from the top, and that's all hidden with this corner bracing stuff here, which adds a lip all the way around, but I'm happy with that. It's fine. So here are my holes for my drop pods to launch through, and this was done, you can see here, an earlier stage in the board build. I just get a big hole bit that kind of matches the drop pod. I drill 2 pilot holes which have been carefully measured, so this isn't randomly done. You want to be careful with your measuring on this sort of stuff, and then that's a really easy way to just take out a couple of holes in your battle board. Super easy, and worth the money for the hole bit. Actually just made what would otherwise be a hard, complicated job very easy. I wouldn't like to kind of cut this out with a knife or anything, Jesus, you know. So here I'm just kind of checking with the drop pod size. and it's all okay, and I need to kind of do that twice. So here's my second drop pod hole. I want to just tidy those up a little bit, so I give them a little bit of a sand down, and we want to give that simulation of a drop pod launch tube as well. So I actually cut part of a flower pot, plastic flower pot, off at the rim, and then glue that underneath with some hot glue, and that just gives them the impression of a tunnel, like a tube for the launch of these drop pods. Here I'm making some doors. This is just regular cardstock, and I score out a door pattern on there with a pencil, and then just prime that. And I realise I can have something else on the other side, so I spray them black on the other side, create a simple star field with a toothbrush and some white paint. Then I get really arty-farty and decide to paint a planet on there. So I just use some blue paint, some green paint and some tan paint, and create a nice kind of planet, so it's like the drop pods are going to be dropping down onto the planet surface. I do that on both, so both are reversible, so I can have closed doors or I can have a planetary scene, and they just slide underneath and are in place. They're just sitting there, they're not glued into place. So that's a really nice low-tech solution to that. Here's the wider view of the drop pod launch bay. I haven't painted the drop pods, of course, yet, so please excuse that. And you're starting to get an idea of what the board's looking like now. You can see the wall sections that I made in the first video, the ammunition train there in all its glory, and we've got the gantry crane we made in the last video, and also the tertiary battery in the background. Here we've got an aircraft lift, because I want fighter aircraft in this kind of area as well, or it can double as a cargo lift. So that's good. So yeah, if you've enjoyed the content, guys, please consider giving me a like. It really does help. I do appreciate it. And also share with anyone you think might be interested in this build. It really all does help the channel to grow and develop. If you're not already subscribed, consider giving me a subscription. I'm nearly at 1,000 subscribers at the time of taking this, making this video rather. So thanks ever so much for that. It's a wonderful milestone to be approaching, and I really appreciate all your support, guys, and all the comments. You're all being very kind with your feedback, even though I'm a bit rough around the edges with my builds. I can take criticism, don't worry. So if you want to say something constructive, you can go right ahead. So thanks ever so much, guys. Continuing to follow the project along, plenty more to come, and I'll sign off and I'll see you in a future video. Thank you again. Cheers.